people. It's me again. So, anyways, this is my multiple recordings here because somehow I kind of want to make a good audio only style video at this point. But the problem is like I have too many thoughts in my head, and I just need to say it all out at this point, because it's like, for me, I start to think in channels and then opposed to how other people operate, so it's like I'm going from one thing to another, as far as that goes. And here I was just stuck on that one channel, and that was talking about this guy there on my main channel at this point, when when this sort of thing is kind of resolved. Unfortunately, all that drama for the fact that I kind of wanted to buy another hoodie at the wrong time, and maybe I was just giving him too much attention, when I probably wanted to get close, but now I kind of realize I'm getting too close too soon, and I need to create distance for a while, and and I just don't know how to say it to certain people, that maybe I need my space, and it doesn't mean I don't like them anymore, and all that. And somehow that just gets lost in translation, I suppose. Because that's just how it is when I'm dealing with so-called neurotypical people. I don't really intend to be this sort of way, but then when you have amount of internalized ableism in a way, then you start to act like these type of people, like Elliot Rodger, or I forget what's that guy, Shoko Asahara, or one of those other people, where they start to be like this, the Aspie supremacist or something. But that's just people who have so much internalized ableism that they want to rid the world of neurotypicals. It's just like some of those people who have internalized racism so much that they want to rid the world of white people, or something like that. Or any of these feminists out there have internalized misogyny to the nth degree. They want to rid the whole male gender and have it be like the whip-tailed lizards, as far as that goes. You know what I mean? And I don't want to become that. I don't want to become that sort of thing just because of certain people not really quite understanding the fact that I operate on a different level in that sense. And the fact that I just felt sorry for him. I never really intended to get so emotionally entangled in him in the first place. And I just wanted to separate myself from him before I get too obsessed or whatever, or even in some point where he becomes obsessed with me, because it's just one of those things, again, where I would give the guy too much attention, this happens. Or if I give them not enough attention, they think I'm not interested. And there were times where I gave a guy maybe a little bit too much space, and so they think I'm not interested, when I was just respecting some form of boundaries that's been placed, and maybe a little bit too much of it. So I just don't even know what is enough or what is not enough or too much, and so it's going to be the same shit again, or either I'm, you know, giving him too much of something or not enough of something, and I just can't seem to get more of a generalized feel about it. Because I'm bad at reading people, as far as their intent, but yet it's like I'm seeing patterns of them, when it, as far as that goes, and then try to like pick up their patterns on that note, because it happens so many times with Ricky or others that they come back, because of out of curiosity, personal growth. It's like the more optimist way of saying it, but the more pessimist sort of way is that they're just getting your fix, and that's just something that's going to be like the case, because I gave him a big hit, and now it's just going to be one of those things where, or 3 or 4 months down the line or something, then he wants the Scott fix, despite the fact that it gave him too much attention and it was a little bit stalkerish or something, and so now he wants that Scott fix, because after all, he has seen me shirtless, I suppose, and I've seen him shirtless, so there could be some kind of curiosity at this point, and then despite the fact that I mentioned that dream, but now it's like I was just weirded out by it, because I didn't want to have these feelings from too soon at that point. I wish I could have done all of this sort of thing, 6 months or even a year from now, at that point. Not like this. And I'm just wondering, why am I going after guys who are just not exactly emotionally available? And I think the whole answer was the fact that, because I thought, like, if I go after someone who's emotionally available, they're going to be a bit clingy, because I remember a couple times where I encountered guys who were like quote unquote relationship oriented or whatever that is, and then they become clingy around me, because I remember this one guy, I think his name is Kyle, on Bigger City that year, so I think this is 07, and I had messaged him about it, and it was just being polite and friendly, and he assumes I'm interested in, as far as that goes, and then at one point I just told him to slow down, but to those type of quote unquote hopeless romantics, it just means get the fuck out of my life, that sort of thing. You know what I mean? And I'm just not really certain about all of this now. It's like, do we even want this guy back? Or just starts to crave the Scott fix. Just like any other person that rejects me of that sort, or they start to crave me again because somehow it's the attention, the validation that I gave them, and I don't know. I really don't know, because there's at one point where I think this has happened probably back about 10 years ago. And so I got into one of those kind of, I guess you could say it's like orgies, I suppose, you know. And I think I went there for roughly, I think it was like 2 months. And I think things started to get out of hand, and so I decided to leave anyways, because then the host didn't want me to return at that point, you know. And at one point, it was about 3 or 4 months later, I suppose, so it was around like March of 2014, where I got a text from the guy, and I told him politely that I'm not interested in coming back, and only a few people that I really just want to keep in contact at that point, you know, because I felt like I had to go in that kind of route of not forgiving, you know. But I don't really want to throw this ableism card every time when I have like such drama with people. But it's one of the things I had said on there, on one of my videos, about like, do I have to always start introducing myself saying I have autism every time? I don't really want to do that, you know. I want them to know about this sort of thing, you know, right off the bat, because a lot of the things, when it comes to me being on the spectrum and all that, I can't really mask a lot of this sort of stuff there. I mean, I could mask being social for a certain period of time until it's all draining and all, and then I have to kind of have my me time for a while. And I think when I gotten really stressed out at one point, I think this was probably around 99 there, because there was a lot of other stuff that was going on that year that was causing a whole lot of problems there. And when I seen one of those quacks, I would say, because he was one of those pill pushers, and some other psychologist or psychiatrist that was some kind of pill pusher thing. I probably don't really even remember his name of that sort. And then, although I do remember having to take Paxil and Zoloft, and it was causing me to become erratic in a way. And it was one of the fights that I had with Mom about a couple of months ago. But then it's like she doesn't even remember half of it because it's been so long, you know. And that's like the other thing. Me having this eidetic memory, and it's just one of the things that guy should have at least known about. You know, that I'm a completely different breed of a person at that point. And yet, he's supposed to have a degree in psychology. You know? Because he talked about it on his previous YouTube videos, and he also talks about it on TikTok, you know, and yet he doesn't know a thing about autism. Yeah? And when I really just wanted to be his friend and maybe have something more than that, you know, but I just needed to distance myself from him for a while because, you know, that guy kind of needs space from people, you know, just as much as I do, I suppose. So anyways, it was about a couple weeks ago, and this was before I gotten all the caps. I mean, why do I keep saying caps? I mean, I keep saying that. I mean, when I gotten all the crowns put in on my teeth, I think I probably supposed to have like 6 or 7 crowns, and 2 of them are new. Actually, it was 3 of them, because then there was another one of my teeth needed to have a crown as well, and so there was like a 3rd crown put in free of charge. And so now it's like I can smile if I want to smile, but I was never really the one to actually smile that much anyways, because I have to like smile for a reason. I just couldn't really just flash a smile just because people will ask me to smile. And a lot of times it's just, I find these type of people like breed this sort of toxic positivity and all that. You know what I mean? You must think happy thoughts. Sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. You know, that sort of thing. But life is not sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows. And these people are just completely fucking delusional. You know what I mean? So anyways, I'm now back inside the house. Okay. I'm gonna go back upstairs. I don't even know how long I was out there for. And the fact that I probably needed to have something to drink. So, anyway, so one of my only advices here at this point is like, I drink a lot of soda. Instead of like, you know, alcohol. You know what I mean? So, anyways, I'm checking on my tablet here. Because I was charging it while it was gone. So basically, I'm going to be doing editing through the tablet, because since I use this one app called Power Director on the tablet, and so that's sort of the reason why my videos on there look a lot different than the point, because it can have like those custom edit videos like this. Yeah. So anyways, it's at like 90%, you know, and then I think I used the whatchamacallit, the portable charger thingy, instead of just using the normal charger. But mainly it was because of the fact that I charged the portable charger thingy throughout the night at that point. So, anyways, as far as this sort of thing goes, I think this would be like my first part here, and I think maybe like the next part, I think I'm probably gonna do something like in 2 weeks, I suppose, but here I almost forgot this sort of story again, you know, and it was the day before I got those caps. I keep saying caps, crowns put in. And I was on Chris's live stream. Chris from We Like to Play. So he has his own live streams. And so at one point we was telling about that I have to get my crowns put in tomorrow as far as that goes. And I have to say about the fact that I have to be knocked out when I see the dentist, because I don't really like to see the dentist that much anyways, and especially it's difficult for somebody that's on the autism spectrum, and again, because of like the whole sensory issues. I mean, for a neurotypical, it might not be that bad, but for someone that's on the autism spectrum, it can be a bit grueling, as far as the sensory issues, how noisy the drills are, noisy all the instruments, and the headlamp beaming down on you is so bright, and then the temperature and all this sort of stuff, and that was just the thing here, as far as that goes. So basically, the other thing here is that I gotten myself into meditation way because it was a way to de-stress myself as far as that goes, and then somehow I ended up getting into the whole manifestation thing. So technically, that one guy that I was talking about, he was like the second guy that I was interested in, and I think the bigger problem is that I didn't let go of the outcome in time in this point, and then it caused a whole lot of resistance, if you want that kind of explanation, and then what the fact here is that I'm saying this sort of stuff kind of like would cause the resistance to shatter at some point, But I think, to tell the truth about the second guy here, is that I do still have a soft spot for him. It's just kind of like one of my exes, Ricky, that I still have that I had a soft spot for him back then, and like certain periods of a time when I was broken up with him, but I think deep down I did have like a soft spot for him, because a lot of the stuff that happened wasn't really my fault, because in the beginning, Dad was being overprotective, and it's causing a lot of problems there, and then the fact that this guy, Matt, who wouldn't take no for an answer, and I had a hard time getting rid of that guy, So this is also just going to make me go into this whole story again about where I had to see a therapist at this point because Dad got so annoyed because I couldn't stop talking about you, But it's just one of those little things that I have to talk it out. I have to talk it out to process my emotions and all. And so I don't really need to be sounding obsessive and all that. I mean, do people just want me to just explode at everything, I mean, I'm an adult now. I have to be a bit more mature about handling certain complicated emotions, But it's just one of those things. I'm kind of feeling a little bit sweaty here. Alexa, turn on fan. So, anyways, Alexa, what time is it?
It's 12:37 p.m.
So, anyways, I was thinking about this sort of stuff here, but then I forgot the rest of that part of that story. Yeah. So here it is. I'm just thinking in channels at this point because that's kind of what it is. When I'm kind of forgetting something and all that because there's just, where I'm just switching to a different channel at that point, and, you know, of thought. So, anyways, now I'm trying to remember here. I remember mentioning to Chris there that I'm on the autism spectrum, and that was sort of the reason why. And then so he said, like, well, everybody's on the spectrum, and which is true, because even neurotypicals also exhibit some behaviors in some ways, you know. And it's like even neurotypicals can be obsessed with people, you know, as far as that goes. Because here, I completely forgot about this sort of story. Because I remember at one point, this was back about like probably it was like around like, I think it was like the end of 2011, or was it start of 2012? You know, where I was complaining to Dad at that point, like there were these two guys that kept messaging me on Bear WW at this point, and they don't live in America, you know, as far as that goes. And I was just not interested, and somehow they just couldn't seem to take the damn hint that I wasn't interested in them. Yeah. And it was another story that I wanted to mention at this point because of it's just weird. And I can remember this sort of story again because so this was back in 06, 07, where there was this guy that kept messaging me, and I kept going like, hey sexy, hey sexy, hey sexy, you know, and I kept ignoring him at one point, and at one point where I told him off, you know, and at one point where I messaged his sister on MySpace about it, and I just wanted him to leave me alone. And somehow I got his email, and I sent him an Instagram at that point. And some guy, you know, got up and confronted me about it, you know, but I had told him off that he really just needs to leave me alone, you know. And at one point, it probably was about a couple months later when I was talking to some new guy at that point, and where I said like so and so was one of my stalkers, and that he just needed to understand that I was just not interested in him because I was interested in somebody else at that point, you know. And it's just one of those little things, you know. So anyways, it's just one of the weird things that I can remember at this point, because I had a dream about that particular guy, and he was puking all over me. Yeah. And I couldn't really understand what it meant, but then when I looked up, it was just the fact that he was just rejecting me at that point. Yeah. So, I'm trying to think here as far as all the other stuff. But it was one of the things that I had talked about multiple times on YouTube, on here, was that guy Eloy, and he was the first guy I was crushing on at one point, and this was back in 03, and I realized it's like I didn't really like that guy that much because he just looked similar to that one character from Power Rangers, Wild Force, the Black Ranger there, because I liked the character, but I wasn't even attracted to the actor as far as that goes, and I was able to talk to the actor there through Yahoo Messenger at the time, and I was telling him about Eloy, because just to let him know that just because I'm gay doesn't necessarily mean I'm attracted to him. Yeah, as far as that goes. And the whole story was, I wasn't really comfortable with that attraction to him, because Mom was telling me things and all, and plus I kept saying that I was in love with him because Mom wouldn't get off my back about him. And when I met him, I just came out like a couple weeks prior to that, and so I wasn't really interested in anything serious at that point, you know? And that was just really what it is, you know? But I'm just not really certain about where I want to go with this guy at this point, but the more this sort of uncertainty is expressed, the more it becomes like indifference, you know, because of that. In a way, I think I did the Houdini act on him at this point, you know, after like giving him too much attention, as I said before, on this, you know. And that this is just going to be one of those things where they wanted to get their Scott fix, you know, because I gave them too much instead of not enough. Because if I went the other way and barely even interacted with him at that point, you know, and barely did anything, you know, or express some kind of interest, and then just give him too much space, he's going to think I'm not interested, you know. So I just don't know how to deal with that kind of stuff, you know, like what is too much and what is not enough, you know what? And that's just basically where I'm going to end it. So anyways, talk to you guys later.